New home loans plummet. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I have my morning stein of coffee, and I thought we'd start the day today by having a look at this article from realestate.com.au. This is discussing, well, the decline in new home loans. It's the most difficult lending environment in 30 years. What does that tell us? The banks are worried. Are people not jumping on board? Is the FOMO failing, everyone? Is the FOMO failing? Or are people taking out their super and then, because they're under hardship, they can't use that sneaky method, having access to their own money to buy a home? Actually, I saw in the comments, and I couldn't believe it. Actually, no, sadly, I could believe it. I was just annoyed that people are this dumb. Someone said, it's not even your money. It's the employer's contribution for the future of the worker. And I thought, wow, there's someone who's never actually employed someone. There's someone who doesn't actually understand that when, you combine the super, everything together as a package, that's the cost, the burden of hiring someone. That's how an employer sees it. But that's obviously a hard leftist mentality of someone who's never taken on responsibility other than filling out, checking the right box on their union form. It was already pre-filled. They just had to probably put an X next to it. That was the extent of their mental capacity. You can see it upset me a little bit. And there's the problem with democracy right there. Everyone has a vote, and sometimes it just gets annoying. That's why I'm hoping out of all of this, more people will become politically activated and won't just simply, follow in their parents' footsteps of who they vote for, or won't even think about who they vote for, who'll realize the power they have in their preference vote, and use them. I've met people who, were hardcore conservatives, and they just simply voted for the Liberal Party. And I go, why don't you use your preferences to give some support to a minor that probably more aligns with what you're thinking than a major? The Greens are very smart at it. They know what they're doing. They've rallied it. They've got a big base, and they've got, a lot of people voting for them. So, of course, that's shifted the Overton window to one side. I want the Overton window dragged back to the center a little bit more, dragged more to the right to shift it over a little bit. I'd really love if our House of Reps actually had to have a variety of people in there. So there was a debate, a mishmash of characters. It'd be entertaining for one. Come on, we're paying all these people. At least they could get some good rants and fighting going in Parliament. Wouldn't that be good? Anyway, enough of my story off the side. I'm going to have a shot of coffee. What do you think, everyone? Do you use your preference voting? Maybe I should put or are you one of those people who are so jaded that you've given up on it? If you think it doesn't make a difference, well, it doesn't make a difference. So at least it's entertaining watching the ABC report on the election. Come on, that's fun if you're a political nerd. And you got to at least partake, because then you can complain. That's your right. You can bitch and moan if you've partaken in politics, if you've at least voted. If you haven't, just did a donkey vote, then sorry, you don't get the right to bitch. New mortgage, and that's almost worth going out for a hot dog. New mortgage lending has dropped sharply to its lowest value in 12 months. While refinancing has hit a historic high, latest housing finance figures have revealed. Well, there you go. So people are refinancing. I don't blame them. I've been watching a Dave Ramsey episode where he's quite critical of debt consolidation, and I didn't quite understand why he was so against it, because it's what we did. We had some equity on this house here, so I managed to consolidate all of our debts onto the home loan at a lower interest rate, clear everything off, cut everything up, and then we just hit it like anything. We did it a couple of years ago, and in some ways it was the best thing I ever did, because it just. Well, actually, that was the point when I had a break, when we just finished a big project and I could sit down and look at anything, because I'd just been going so hard to grow the business and keep work coming in that you let stuff slip. Oh yeah, this fee here, this fee here. Yeah, but we need that. You know the old line that they tell you, your time's more valuable than that. Pay someone else to do it. I fell for that back in the day. I fell for it. You know, as a young business person, it's. I notice now I should do I'll do a video on it, on lessons I've learned, but I've noticed now it's a way to appeal to someone's ego to get them to spend money. It's a persuasion technique, and it worked quite well to me. Although I'm a little bit more cynical and older now, but you know, we did it, and it worked out really well for us. It worked out really well. Now, one thing he was talking about, and if you don't know Dave Ramsey, look him up on YouTube. He's a radio host in the States that's all about finance, and he is like anti-debt to the hilt, And he's been quite critical of these refinancing companies or debt consolidation companies. What they do is they take over your finances for you, and they make you go default on all your businesses. You pay them, and then they start negotiating with the people on your behalf. So it isn't really a debt consolidation. It's not like, you know, going and saying, okay, I've got 200 grand of equity on the house. I want to use, 30 grand to just decimate all the credit cards and I'll destroy them, going to the bank and doing that. It's very different. And, has anyone had any experience with the dodgy type of debt consolidation here in Australia? I'd be interested to hear from that. I really would. But, that brings me back to this. Are people refinancing either to consolidate their debt, get rid of their credit cards, cut them up? Sure, you'll have to pay it over a longer period, but if you throw everything at that consolidated loan, it could be smarter. It could be smarter. You're just saving that interest difference. Are people refinancing to get their lower interest rates? You're getting some people with a 2 in front of their interest rates. I try and do the thing every month or every couple of months. I'll ring up the bank and I'll sit on the phone for an hour to ask for a discount on my interest rates. Going, I can't be bothered going somewhere else. Give me a discount or I'll go somewhere else. I'll look. And, they'll play the thing and they'll give me a tiny discount. I think I'm at 3.08 at the moment % interest rates. And I've had some people in the comments tell me really, really good stories of how they've done the same thing and they've done better. Others who've tried it and it hasn't worked. I mean, it didn't work out to be that much of a saving over a year. But, you just have the earpiece in your ear and you just, do it while you're drafting or something else. So let's jump back to this article. So in some ways, this is encouraging. People are refinancing. They're locking in cheaper deals. If you've got, a higher interest rate over 4%, there's some people still would be, you've got to take advantage of these opportunities if you can. The Australian Bureau of Statistics data released Thursday showed the total value of mortgage lending actually increased by 2.8% in May to 31.5 billion, but broken down, 16.4 were for new loans and 15.1 to those refinancing, with the latter a record high. There you go. Cameron Kusher, realestate.com.au's executive director of economic research, said the unusual trends reflect the height of the lockdowns in May. But in that period, many existing mortgage holders either changed their lender or mortgaged on the back of record low interest rates, and new borrowers pulled back. We would expect a slowing over the coming months of the rapid increase in refinances and a moderate improvement in new lending, he added. The federal government's home builder package was announced in early June, and since then we have seen inquiry for new homes surge. This interest and subsequent purchases is unlikely to become evident in the data for several months, until such time as the construction is complete and settlement occurs. There have also been a rebound in inquiries to real estate agents via realestate.com.au through June 2020 for owner-occupiers and first home buyers, and I would expect housing finance data over the coming months will also reflect this. So weak investor lending could start to improve soon. Could it? We'll have to see. I mean, this is interesting when we look at all these different little sources and articles, and you start to piece together a picture, trying to get an overview. That's what I'm essentially doing here. I'm trying to understand what's going on. And you're starting to see which ones are... there's always a positive tangent, isn't it? I mean, I guess there has to be. The ABS's total value in new lending was mostly made up of owner-occupiers buying a subsequent home, 8.6 billion, followed by investors, 4.1, and first time owner-occupiers 3.7. The value of lending to investors has fallen for 5 consecutive months. However, a 15.6% fall in May was the largest monthly fall on record and the lowest monthly value on record. Volatile stock markets, closed international borders, and job losses for people under 30 were major contributors to soft investor activity, and home builder was likely to pull forward first home buying demand and rental vacancies, he said. I mean, that's all home builder's going to do. It's just going to pull forward future projects. It's just going to pull forward future projects. It was what we were considering. And instead, I just went to Bunnings and, the trick is if I went and bought a bunch of paint. I've clad that wall I was talking about, guys. It's looking good. Although the kids have already gotten to it with the permanent marker. Fortunately, it's only the first coat and it's rain. So I'm, they've hit it with permanent marker. So I'm going to have to do a second coat, probably a third, maybe a fourth. Investor demand is expected to remain weak and may weaken further over the coming months, he said. While we remain in the midst of a global pandemic and recession, many of the current indicators around housing are quite positive, so don't be surprised to see a stronger than expected result in lending over coming months. Well, yeah, they're throwing everything they can at it, guys. They're throwing everything they can at housing. So, whether the rebound is sustainable, especially as Melbourne heads back to lockdown, remains to be seen. For first home buyers, this was a 10.5% drop, the second consecutive monthly fall, and the lowest value since October 2019, he said. New lending to occupiers buying a subsequent home also fell for a second month, down 10%, and the lowest value in 12 months. So the most difficult lending environment in 30 years. Well, this is the first recession we're having in 30 years, really. Sam Bauer, chief executive of Smartline, said that despite record online search behavior... Oh, wait a minute. What? So the record online search behavior, which they're talking about in article after article, it's saying, the market's coming back, everyone. FOMO yourself in now. And people are saying in the comments, I'm not just looking at properties. I've got no intention of buying, but I just want to see them. I want to get an eye on the market. Wow. So online search behavior isn't a tantamount to having the money in the bank. Who would have known? Who would have known? I need a coffee. It's been a very difficult period for the property market, with factors such as open home restrictions and tenants unable to pay rent, all leading to a sharp downturn in new lending activity. And that's the point, guys. That's why you want to look at a multitude of different articles, different sources, different information, different data to kind of get a feel of what's going on. And you only see this once you start looking at it all and seeing the patterns of how they will put these things together. Record search data. I really feel that some of these are paid placements for some of these, the people they're getting to put quotes in. Maybe I'm just being cynical. What do you think, guys? We believe this has been the most difficult lending environment in the past 30 years. It's a perfect storm, he said. Lenders are asking for more information than they ever had in history, for every customer, regardless of whether they are new or existing clients. They are worried about people whose income may have reduced during the pandemic, so we have seen new processing checks and balances introduced. So they're probably just doing their job. They're probably just doing their job properly now. And my camera is falling down because I need to get a new stand, everyone. In some cases, lenders have had to cancel loan approvals for clients that lost their jobs, and we've heard about this. Mr. Boas said, the rapid rise in refinancing aligned with Smartline's experience in April and May, which saw refinancing submissions increase to more than 50% of loan applicants. We've seen many clients use the lockdown period as an opportunity to improve their position, he said. And that's another thing. This may be the first time people have been forced to take a step back to get off the treadmill and to look at their situation, to look at their financial situation and start to get it under control. It may seem overwhelming, but bit by bit you can get it under control again. For people in secure employment, now may be an excellent opportunity to enter the housing market or upgrade their property. Or it might be a fantastic way just to decimate your debt. How no one ever talks about that, does it? Lenders are constantly changing their policies, rates, and consumer offers, and there is no time like the present to take action. Well, there we have it, everyone. New home loans crash, refinancing at record levels. The worst environment in 30 years. They actually have to work. What do you all think? What's your take on this? Are you jumping in? Are you holding off and waiting to see? I mean, it's a renter's market. Now's the time, if ever. As always, please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create, there are a few ways you can. Interacting with the channel, it's a great way to let YouTube know you're enjoying the content, so it gets more exposure and helps us grow. You can support us financially by joining us on YouTube or Patreon, using any of our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin, buying our merch from HeiseSays, using Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or supporting us via PayPal. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode.